Hello, everyone. Welcome again. I have a dynamic woman of God in the house for this segment of the Her Brand exclusive of the Be Her podcast. Her name is Diane Parker. Welcome, Diane. Listen, y'all, before we get started, I want to give you a little bit about who she is. She's a 35-year-old mother of three, an authoress, empowerment coach, and business owner. She is a student at Strayer University, majoring in Bachelor of Arts and Business Administration. She is also the author of the book Diamond on a Dream, which was released August of 2021. And she loves to travel, try new foods, spend time with family and friends. And she launched her brand, Diane Parker, LLC, on March 27th of 2021 in hopes of changing lives in a positive way using inspirational apparel and things, coaching, and urban fiction novels. So listen, Diane, you have to tell us your personal story that led to entrepreneurship and the birth of the brand, Diane Parker.
So many years ago, I always did security. And I was always confused about what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I was like, well, I don't know. So I went into corrections. This was after high school. So I'm fresh out of high school in a correctional center. And I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't what I want to do. So I stepped out of corrections and then I went into just doing private security. So I did private security for about 12 years. And I always thought, okay, yeah, I might take this on as my own business. Well, I ended up getting sick when I had my twins. They're 3 now. But in 2018, I went to the hospital on monitoring and I was there for a month. So everything was going good. I was excited. They said, okay, we're going to induce you on da-da-da day and you're going to see your baby girl. So I was so excited because I was ready to go home. Well, one weekend, close to delivery time, I end up getting sick. So I'm like, okay, what is going on? I hadn't eaten anything or anything. So that Monday, I end up getting sick. My oxygen level just dropped out the blue. No symptoms or anything. And when you see the doctors get scared, the fear come across their face, now I'm terrified. So I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So I can't breathe. They called all these doctors from the ICU. And I'm telling you, it's about 15 people at my door.
Wow.
And I'm looking like, oh my God, am I going to make it out of this? And they pushed the door open. They took me to ICU. And I end up going into a coma.
Wow.
And when I did wake up, I had tubes running in my throat and I was looking around like, oh my God, what in the world? So the doctor said, oh my God, we didn't think you were going to make it. You're so lucky. And I looked and I said, no, ma'am. I had people praying for me. I'm blessed. And when I came out of that and I came home, I had time to think. I was going through a little depression and everything. And I said, Lord, what if I hadn't have done? What if I had a dad and didn't get a chance to do what I love, which was helping people and putting out good stories and just inspiring people. And I end up walking away from my job to fully invest in myself.
Yep.
I don't regret it. I don't regret it. So that's how I started. Yes.
Now, Diane, that is so serious. I don't think I knew the depths of this. I think I get, some of the pieces from some of the people that you're connected with, like Lakeisha of Styled in Red. She's like, yeah, I style in Diane. I was like, that is so cool. And so that is a real legit story. And I'm glad that you literally shared that because I think about the people, our audience is to the emerging and the existing kingdom entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. And so many times we will find ourselves not really taking on life, taking it by the horns and really going after it and saying, oh, there's tomorrow. But we just never know, what happens. And that is a really serious wake-up call because you didn't see that coming. First of all, you're like, I'm just going to have these twins. We're going to go home and everything's going to be happily ever after. And how long were you in a coma?
So this was early Thursday. When I woke up and I'm looking around like, what in the world? I can't talk because I'm literally texting on my phone like what's going on and I'm showing it to the doctors and they're like, oh well, you went into a coma, your body an infection got in your blood and your whole body was septic. And when
Wow.
I did get out of the hospital, I actually went back to look at those blood work. Everything was critical.
Mm.
Everything was critical. Yes.
Wow. That's So you launched this brand. What do you think has been one of like your biggest challenges since you've launched it?
I would definitely say exposure.
Mm-hmm.
That being one thing. But a more concerning thing is some people are scared to I guess say they need help.
Mm.
We
Mm-hmm.
all fall short. We all it's everybody has something that they want to work on. And this is something that I go through daily. I get
Mm-hmm.
up and I meditate and I just try to find a balance, to keep my peace. I even had to
Yeah.
cut people off. um,
Yeah.
just so I could be able to help other people. But I find that a lot of people, I'll see them in the street or something, and they say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I like what you're doing. I see what you're doing, and this, that, and the third." But then they don't say, "Hey, I'm going through this, that, and the third." They'll call me later on when they're by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
try to, explain to me, "Hey, I just seen you, but I'm going through this, that, and the third. I didn't want to say it because, I was in public or this person was with me." So I
Mm-hmm.
do find that to be something that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that you started Diane Parker. You also have this book. Which one came first?
Well, the book I had wrote years ago. I just hadn't had it, gotten it published or anything. But the brand actually came right after. So I'll say both of them about the same timing. But the brand more so came from me being in church.
Okay.
So I was a little girl, a little country girl. After we came from New York, um, we was at church all the time. And I said, well, I don't know if I want to do anything in the church. You grow up in the church, so sometimes it's just like almost like a pastor's kid. They
Mhm.
expect the expectations of, oh well, maybe you should be doing this, maybe you should be doing,
Mm.
and um I really didn't actually take a position in the church until I got well 30 years old.
Mhm.
And my pastor decided to give me hospitality ministry. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, look, this is what God's telling me to put you at. So this is where I'm putting you. So I said,
Mhm.
okay. I didn't
Mhm.
argue. I asked questions. And the main thing was checking on your people,
Mhm.
making sure your people are good, making sure if people need prayer, just conversation, food, anything that
Yeah.
can help, the family of the church or a friend of somebody at the church.
Mm.
That's what the hospitality ministry was. So
Mhm.
when I focused on that, I said, well, this is something that I love to do anyway. So it wasn't really like I needed a ministry to put on it. This was something that I really enjoyed. And that's when I came up with my slogan, embracing the struggle for it's only temporary.
Mm.
And slogan means whatever you're going through, you can get through it.
Yeah.
So that's where the birth of that came from.
And you definitely a living testimony with that. It don't matter what, if
Yes,
God has done it
ma'am.
before, yeah, because you a walking miracle right now.
Yes,
So you literally
ma'am.
get to say what God has done.
Yes.
Tell us about the book, because I definitely want to talk about the book because that's a big part of the brand as well. I know you got into the merch and apparel, but tell us definitely about the book. I know that you launched it. When was it?
August
2021.
August of last year, I
Yep.
had to publish Diamond on a Dream. That's the title of the book. And look, I'm gonna show you all so y'all can see what it looks like. So here's the
Mhm.
book.
Available on Amazon.
It's about a teenage girl who is chasing her dream to be a model. And she has a friend. We all have a bestie that we hang out with, and she has her bestie, and they try to come up with a plan of, well, how we're going to make this money so you can reach your dream. It was a whole lot of different things taking place in the household, which was Diamond's household. That's the main character, and different things like substance abuse,
Wow.
physical abuse, and in the story, it takes you through her different challenges. And some of the things people would say, oh my God, did you do that? And it's not based on my life. This is things
Okay.
that I know about, I've heard about, and I don't think a lot of people talk about it enough. But peer pressure is something that is really, really taking over. And that's that happens in the book as well. And she kind of let you see what it's like for a 16, 17-year-old girl in the city of New York trying to chase a dream with no money. And she come in contact with some people that, a lot of us don't agree with, but in reality, it happens. It happens all the time. And
Yeah.
then in the book, you'll see if she actually accomplished the dream or not.
Oh, is this one of those books that would have like a series attached to it, or is this like a one
Yes,
hitter?
yeah.
Oh.
Initially, I wasn't thinking about a series, but when I talked to a lot of people that had read the book and they were texting me their reviews, and I'm like, oh, okay, where's the part two? Where's the part two? I'm like, okay, I will have to put a part two. Yeah.
Well, we may have some authors that may be tuning in as well. What does your creative process look like? Did you ever hit like parts of, what they call writer's block? Like, how long did it take you to actually write it? What are some of the challenges you had writing it?
So I definitely, when writing, I started and I would just write a couple of days, and then sometimes I did have writer's block, so I would just put the story down and just come back to it. And I did want to. One thing about when you get writer's block, you don't want to just start writing because you want to finish the process.
Mm,
Because when you do
good.
that, you can find yourself making a whole lot of errors, writing a whole bunch of stuff that don't make sense, and you can lose the reader's attention.
Mm.
So that's one thing I learned, to just write. And if I do happen to have writer's block, then I will just put it down and just come back to it once I regroup. Sometimes it may be a day, sometimes it may be 2 days. Yeah.
You ever thought about doing like a writer's workshop to help other authors or authoress to come up into the
Well,
market?
myself and a young man that I mentor as far as the writing process goes,
Mhm.
we have decided to create a platform where writers can tell us about their journey. And that
Ooh.
will be launching March the 4th on Instagram Live. It's called the Writer
Ooh.
Share. And we have so many people that have reached out. And we are totally booked for 3 months.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one thing I love about when you're a personal brand like me and you, we get to create things out of midair. And it almost feels like that you could almost, how they used to say money grows on trees. I feel like
Right.
we create trees that
Yes.
money can grow on, and the trees are representative of the products or the offerings. And when we really look at it, it's really unlimited if we allow ourselves to be creative with what we have. And I think that's what, the Bible talks about, that when the parable that talks about when the master gave all of these people talents. He gave certain ones talents, and one had one had three, one had 10, and how they had to multiply that. And he came back and saw that, what they had. And the one who didn't multiply was the one he was actually saying, cursed are you, woe is you, for you have just held on to it instead of doing business like a banker and a trader. And I was like, wow, God wants us to do business like a banker and a trader. He wants us to occupy until he come, like a banker and a trader. And when you think about what a bank does and what a trader does, they don't just hold money in their hand. They find ways to gain interest, to multiply it, which
Yeah.
goes back to our original mandate, kingdom mandate in Genesis, that says that be fruitful and multiply,
Right.
have dominion, and I think that if we really think about how God has breathed himself into us, mankind, and we have the Holy Spirit walking with us, he is the most creative force, the most
Yeah.
creative person that dwells on the inside of us. And so I think that we do have an unlimited ability, like Deuteronomy 8:18. I've given you the power to obtain wealth. And I think that this is why I get to, sit with people like you and be like, so what's next? Like, what are you going to do? And you ever thought about a writer's workshop, or you ever thought, because things can keep evolving
Right.
as you go,
You're exactly right. I could definitely say that going into this brand, I'm not going to say I questioned God, more so I questioned myself,
Mm-hmm,
because I
mm-hmm,
wondered, I said, well, okay, if I walk away from this, then, you know, walk away from security. I know security. I've been doing it so long.
mm-hmm,
And then what if it doesn't work out?
mm-hmm,
But one thing I learned before I left my job, I just didn't up and leave my job
mm-hmm,
and say, well, I'm just going to go try this out. I left my job because I felt the push. I felt God.
mm-hmm.
And I told my mother, um, she say sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized. Okay. So she said, well, look, you pray about it. And I said, Mom, I feel the push. And I said, I was trying to hang in there and trying to hang in there. And God was telling me it was my time to go to walk into my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I left my job. I wondered, I said, well, how am I going to take care of my kids? Am I going to be able to provide for God? Provide. Okay. He has opened doors. He has definitely made a way. I haven't been short of anything.
Wow.
Yes.
That's the glory of God right there. The obedience. He said, if you're willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. And some of us, I wish God would push me. It wouldn't take me no time to have a resignation letter on the same day and sending it. And I'd be asking God, because I really want to be full-time entrepreneur, but I also see the benefit of me being in a workplace. Every workplace I've been in, when I've recognized that it was an assignment, there were people that I wouldn't have met if I wouldn't have been in that space, that have been impacted. I was able to give them a word or whatever the case may be. So I know that many, entrepreneurs are like, oh my God, I just want to do it full time. But you really have to follow the will of the Lord. For some, it's going to be, yes, come off your job right now, and I want you to do full time. For others, it's going to be, God may not even want you to start your business yet. There's
Exactly.
a time and a place for everything. And then for others like me, we're the hybrids who have to
Mhm.
exist in the marketplace and the workplace, and be graced to have energy to do both.
Yeah.
And so it's a good thing. Like, I'm glad that you said that you didn't just walk off, because the world makes it seem like that you should just say goodbye and try something, but then you don't have no backing. You know what I mean? God says, I only fund my agenda, my vision for your life. I only support the agenda that I've already written about your life. And so if you feel that nudge, you should do it. I've heard people say that they felt the nudge and they stayed for like a year, and before they knew it, the job had actually fired them, because really it was something random and stupid, but they knew that they were supposed to have been left.
Yeah.
And so the job let them go. So I was like, it pays to obey God, because he'll make his will known. Listen, I need you to really do this.
You're right. You're right. And I always believe in being transparent. And I always tell people, yes, I have been in a position where I was doing everything I was supposed to do
Mhm.
and being obedient. And then it was a time I stepped out of God's obedience. And
Mm.
the most beautiful thing about it is God will forgive you. But it also allows you to see that, just because you think, okay, I'm a woman of God, I'm this, I'm that you got it all under control. You still gonna need God,
Yes.
because He's the only one that gonna keep you. And sometimes you think, oh, I got it under control. I got it under control.
Mhm.
And sometimes we don't. And He doesn't allow us to have certain things because He knows we're not ready for it. The timing,
Ready.
like you said, the timing isn't right.
Mhm.
And even though I've been in security for 12 years and I've had this book written for 12 years,
Wow.
that tells you how long I've been,
Wow.
yes, preserved until He was
Hiding.
for
Oh,
me to put
you
it out. Yes.
ooh, that is so good. What do you think that you've gotten out of that 12-year process that makes sense why God said not now? That now is the time. Like, what was the 12-year? What do you think that you've gotten out of the 12 year process that God was able to give you, that if you didn't have it, you knew you wouldn't have been ready for now?
Being patient.
Mhm.
Because I know over the years I was anxious. Bible tells you not to be anxious. And I was always anxious for stuff. Always anxious to, all right, if I do something, I want to do it right then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting to see results right then. But
Mm-hmm.
as I've grown and matured, I understand that everything that you want to succeed in, it takes, it's a process. It takes time.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing. I'm patient. I understand it's a process. I know it's not going to come overnight. I know I'm not going to be able to save the whole world with my story or any of that.
Yeah.
But I know that the lives that will, come in contact with the book or my brand, or whether it's coaching, or if I can direct them to somebody that may offer the resource they need, I know that I'll leave an impact on their life in this moment.
Yeah.
I can't say that 12 years ago, but I can say that now.
You can say that now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm reminded of this scripture. I don't know why stuff comes to me as you talk, but I am reminded of this scripture. It's something that I've gotten a wind of, like in this season of my life, when God is reminding me about the fish and the loaves. And I'm reminded that that you're responsible for bringing your fish and your loaves to the table, and God is responsible for the outcomes. I've been saying it all over social media for a minute now. I was
Okay.
like, you are responsible for bringing your gift to the table. God is responsible for the outcomes. But this is what I thought about with your 12-year process. I thought about how that same scripture God was preaching to, they say 5,000, but they didn't count men and children, right?
Mm-hmm.
He preached so long that the people got hungry.
Yes.
Like they had came all this long way, and the whole time God was preparing them to be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking how we want to bring our fish and loaves early, but the people aren't hungry yet. There was a moment where the people had to get hungry first to receive what you had at the table. And then God gets to step in and make it a miracle that actually impacts their lives. Makes it such a memorable moment that literally 5,000 plus people walked away saying, did you see that?
Yes.
That all J. Diane did was bring a book to the table, and it ended up feeding 5,000 plus people. But it took 12 years of God preparing a hungry audience. Like that whole moment just came to me as you were talking. I was like, 12 years. It took you 12 years. You have to talk about that.
That's a word by itself. That's a word by
because
itself.
people don't realize that access requires process.
It does. It does.
And so God is saying now access is granted to all the doors I have for you, Diane, because you've went through the process. Patience is a virtue that I know we like to tell God, please give me more patience. And I know God is like, if you have a Holy Spirit, it's a fruit of the Spirit. You need to nurture that thing. It's like you already got it. You just ain't nurtured it. And the only way to nurture it is with hard situations and elongation of getting what you want, So I know all about patience. Don't ask for patience. You're asking for life to throw you hard situations. Not God. He's like, listen, I've given you all things that pertain to life and godliness, but what you ask for, just be ready to be a manager in that way. And it comes with resistance. That's where you get that diamond is. I know that you have like a whole concept about the diamond. What's your concept? What's your thoughts about the diamond?
Well, the diamond, it actually, so this is my first time explaining, because this is my first time everybody ever asked me. So diamond comes from, it was a gentleman, he was going through some things, and he always said, I'm gonna call you Diamond. I said, why would you pick Diamond? That's not my name. So he said, no. He said, because every time I talk to you about stuff, I seem to be bringing up stuff, things that he was trying to get out of. And he said, you always pop up, so I'm gonna call you Diamond. You be my diamond in the rough. I said, oh Lord. So that's when I started the book, and I said, well, what can I name the young lady in the book? Diamond came to my mind, so that's what I went with.
Oh my God. And we know that diamonds, like how diamonds are made, they're made being irritated, by the earth and being under fire and all of that in the deep, deep parts of the earth. And I had did a live post earlier talking about that God makes his greatest things in secret, in the dark.
Yes.
He made this brilliant world, with the sun, the moon, and everything is beautiful. We have messed this up, but it's a beautiful world. And how everything, and he made that, and then he made us in secret. You know how Psalms talk about being knit in the secret place in their mother's womb, and how our days are fashioned, and how his thoughts towards us are good and not evil, like all of this brilliance. And I'm just like, man, like God really does his greatest work in the dark. So I know some of us on here probably feel like, I feel like there's, will I ever get the exposure I need? Or will I ever get to, I finally break through? Or will I finally get, just know that God does his greatest work in the dark. So when you feel lonely or when it feels like a dark place, that's God's greatest opportunity, to show you who you really are and to show you who he really is too.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. I have people that I was always expecting to hear from my hometown. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, so I know they're gonna come through for me. They're gonna come through for me.
Yikes.
And my biggest supporters and the people that God touched are people from like the other side of the world that I
Mhm.
never even met.
Yeah.
And some people are messaging. They say, I love what you're doing. I love the book. We need more of it. And I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, these are people that I never met. So,
Yep.
and then as far as like donations and things to upbuild a brand, I have people donate money um from like places churches I never been to, people I never seen before. And I'm gonna tell you
Mhm.
about this situation that I
Mhm.
had when I had just started my business, and a young man came to me, and I was getting myself together for work. He said, hey, Miss Parker, how you doing? And I say, how you doing? I'm fine. I'm trying to get to work. I said, I'm running late,
Mhm.
but I'm trying to get to work. So he said, I got a light bill. If you can help me pay it. I know you're just starting out and everything, but if you can help me out, I really appreciate it. And I said, oh my God. And my heart is like cotton candy. I'm not like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I said, oh my God, I got to do something for him. I didn't have the money at the time.
Mhm.
And on my way to work, I get a cash app. Like, bing, I'm like, who cash apping me money? Nobody told me to cash app. And the young man bill was $80. And the cash app that came from somebody in Richmond was $150. This
Wow.
was before I got to work. There was a 45-minute time frame. So when people say,
Wow.
oh well, what keeps you going and this, then the third, and how you gonna get this and how you gonna get that? God has made a way. When you're doing it from the heart, and that's one thing I learned. When you're
Mhm.
doing it from the heart, not trying to do it to be seen and not trying to do it to be
Mhm.
heard, God always makes a way. A
Yeah.
door always open. When I'm looking like, okay, God, now, you know, any moment now, and I'm waiting, and He has already solved it. He has already taken care of it.
Yep.
And here I am sitting here worrying. And sometimes we can
Mhm.
worry, and I always remember, the pastor telling, if you're gonna worry, why pray? Why pray?
Yep.
Worry.
That's
So
true.
I always say, oh, okay, well, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna pray about it, and that's it, because I know whatever God will is, it will be.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. That's a real good word right there. Whatever God's will is, will be. And when you sit in that seat of knowing that God is and allowing God to be in control,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing God to be who he is, and to know that all your days have already been fashioned and numbered, and each one of them could have a miracle if you will allow God's hand to be in your life and not trying to control the variables,
Right.
and not be anxious for nothing. That
Yes.
sounds so easy to read, and I used to think that was so hard to do. But what our struggle is simply trusting God at his word,
Yes.
really.
You have to. You have to.
And for someone like you who has like been on the brink of death, I know at this point you're like, whatever, God, because clearly you could have allowed my days to end and I never would have met my twins. Like that's
Yes.
a testimony. And so now I know you're just like, all right, God, look, I want to help the man, and then here go bling bling with the cash out. Like I love
That
stuff like that.
situation is a part of the reason why
Wow.
I try not to, because I used to worry about a lot. And I used to hear people say, oh, well, you just pray about it. And I used to be like, oh my God. Like, can they please stop telling me this? But I've always heard it, and I'm like, I'm trying, I'm really trying, and I won't try it enough. Sometimes it takes certain situations
Mm.
to wake you up. Well, and even though it was traumatic, even though it allowed me to walk into my purpose, but I do feel like it was a wake up call as well for me, on a personal level.
Yeah.
Some people say, "Oh well, you got through it," but it was a wake up call as well. It was a lesson as well, because some things that had transpired before my pregnancy, I kind of thought, oh, I got this. I can do what I want to do. When you really can't. When you walking in a certain, or you want to walk in a certain light, it's things that you have to separate yourself from. And not saying that you need to separate from a whole bunch of people, but be separate.
Yeah.
So and that's one thing I learned, and I do feel like that wake up call, it helped me to do that, because a lot of things I don't entertain, I don't involve myself with now. And some people say, "Oh well, I wouldn't tell that." But you have to be transparent, because I can't sit here and say, "Oh, I got it all together. I ain't never did that," because I can't help nobody like that.
Come on.
When somebody see that you've been through it, you tripped, you failed, you made a mistake, and they see, okay, well, God done brought her this far. Okay, I got a little hope here now. I got a little. So it's important that you be transparent. I try to be transparent as much as I can, and even when talking to people that call sometimes, and they say, "Oh well, how you keep it all together?" And I'm like, "Look, honey, some days I'm a mess." It's not always like,
That's true.
I
Yeah.
smile all the time. I just really can't help it,
Yeah.
But I have a lot to smile about, as well. But sometimes you have to smile to keep from crying, they say.
Yeah.
So
That's real true.
it's not that I always have it together. But I know my father, though. I know he got it all together. So I know I'm gonna be okay. I know
I was sitting here thinking when you was talking about you got to be transparent. I remember someone saying you need to tell your story to control the narrative before the devil do. Because he'll try to put you out there to embarrass you, but if you tell your story, it's a testimony. So I remember hearing that, and then I remember, being a pastor now. I remember one lady. It was actually Keisha, to be honest. Because she was our first member of our church when we started 8 years ago. Her and her husband, and so it's so funny because I remember I'm a very transparent, raw, will tell it like it is, but I know that my audience is also. They are urban. They are edgy. It don't matter. It ain't a black and white thing. It's a urban thing. It's a edgy. People who are on the street. People who have been a prostitute. People who have been, in lesbianism and homosexuality. I don't care what you've been through, right? God is still God. He's still the Father, and He still loves you no matter what, right? And so I remember I was telling my story about my wild living. And I remember Lakeisha distinctly saying, I knew I was at the right church and I knew that God must love me. If He can change her, He can change me. And I laughed because I was like, Lakeisha, we all know Lakeisha is edgy. God has done such a transformation work in her. But I was so weak. And I still remind her of that very statement because it lets me know it was because of my transparency. It was because I was able to share my story. And when you share your story, the more shame has to break off of you.
Yes.
Because nobody's perfect. And the moment that you're trying to paint a perfect picture, it's going to take all your energy trying to keep that painting and try to keep that glass house from not being broken into. You might as well let people see the broken glass.
That's right.
Say, yep, that's a story that happened. And they're going to be like, wow, I relate to that. That really impacts me. You can still live and be free even though your house is broken, I'm still having a good time eating good meals and it's me and Jesus. Like, it's a beautiful thing to have an imperfect picture. That's the point of God saying, I am Lord and I am your Savior. That's the point, that He's the one who's fixing it, not me,
That's right. I was just telling somebody yesterday, I said, look, and said, "Oh, I like your profile picture." Blah, blah, blah. I said, "Well, look, please don't get too excited because I'm walking around my house here, honey, no makeup, my jogging pants, and my t-shirt on." I'm look, I post certain things for promotion, but I want people to understand that I am still human. I'm not out here flaunting all this fancy stuff and this, that, and the third. One thing about it, some people say I might keep it too real because I might, but um, I don't have it all, and that's fine. I'm content with what I do have.
Yeah.
But sometimes social media can it it'll make
It's
people
a
seem
false
like
demon
it,
on a reel. Like it because we don't realize that we're all showing good parts. And then when you start comparing your life to all these good parts, they ain't showing you the bad parts. They ain't showing you they depressed or that they
right,
suicidal.
exactly. And I had to share a story, um, coming from New York. It was a transition. It was a point of time where we were homeless. When my parents went hungry to make sure we ate,
Mm,
we walked miles, had family, boop boop, toot the horn, and keep going.
mm,
Don't matter what the weather was. Our dad was carrying us and carrying groceries, and my mom went to work and try to help. It. People don't
mm,
understand. They say, "Oh, you got it all together," but let me tell you something. We went through something.
mhm.
We went through something. So it's not like I always had it like this.
Yeah.
I thank God for taking us out of that,
Yeah.
but it makes you appreciate what you do have even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Even more. Yeah. So I always try to tell people,
Mm,
no, look, I know what it's like
yeah.
to be homeless. I know what it's
Mm,
like to watch your parents scuffle and try to make sure that you have, even when they don't have,
yeah.
walking. I mean, I ain't talking about no walking up the street. I'm talking walking miles
Wow.
the road, in the cold sometimes, even in the summertime, sweating in. They just trying to make it, trying to get
Jesus.
trying to make it to another day. And sometimes when I think about it, and my mom to this day, I'm grown and she's still a huge blessing, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh my God, Lord, if I could just do, I don't play the lottery, but if I could just get somewhere where I can just bless my mama,
Yeah.
that would, oh, it ain't even about me. It's about God giving her, blessing her to be here to help me, and to see where we came from and to see where we at. And now she always tell me, "Yeah, you see why I praise God so much. You see why I shout and tear the floor up." I say, "Yeah, I see, Mom. I now because I'm old enough to know." But
Yeah.
that's the joy in it. We go through things, and sometimes it's hard getting out of it, and but we get there. We get through it.
Mhm.
We get
Mhm.
through it.
On that note, what do you feel has been like the greatest highlight since you've launched your brand? Was there a situation where you're like, that was a major moment? Have you had any moments like that since the launch of your brand?
Um, I would I would say it's a few highlights, but one of the major highlights for me is coming from living in a town here is one stoplight and it's extremely small.
Mhm.
So when I woke up one morning and I'm checking my social media accounts, I'm like, okay, let me see. Anything new happening now? So I go to that was Facebook. So I went to Instagram. I said, oh, let's see what's going on. And I seen that I had a follow from Erica Campbell. And I said,
Ooh.
what? So I'm like, okay, let me go and do my research to make sure she verified.
Uh-huh.
But
Right. Is this the
that
right
was a
page?
moment for me because I'm thinking coming from a small, like I said, extremely small county, and I'm looking like, oh my God, is it going to ever be a point where I can actually get somebody to see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about me. I
Yeah.
have so many people that I know, just like you
Mhm.
and Keisha with Style and Red. There's so many talented people, that I'm connected with, and I just, Lord, help me. But I want other people to be able to offer their services as well, because you guys bring something else to the table. So that's what I always try to do. Not, promote my brand as well, but try to help somebody else too.
Yeah. That's my goal with the podcast. I was like, God, what you want to do this year with the brand? Because I just feel like I'm just kind of finally settling in what I want to offer, what I want to do. This is my niche. I want to stay right here. And God said, I want you to collaborate this year with other kingdom women. And and so this time at this goal, he said, I want you to send it out to all of your clients that you've ever had that has their brand. And I said, okay. Now, and then he said, I want you to find key people that is who I would be almost semi-intimidated to ask, like, would they really do it, And so I sent out like 30 emails, and the response though was like, oh my God, let me get my calendar together. When can I really do these interviews? And so I was like, okay, only Saturdays, okay, I'm gonna do it, and so I've had to get really, really structured in it. And then I remember one of who I just felt like was like bigger than life, she responded, and I did her interview last week. And I was just like, this woman is 50, been a lawyer for years. Like, she is boss. Like, when I say boss, I was like, I felt like the little girl in the room. And I was like, well, I don't even know what I just did here, but it was such a privilege. And then last year God had me able to just be able to connect with people like Germany and Austria. And I was like, I don't know these people. It's like you said, it's like, and these people are out of what I would think is my scope, because I've never been really asked to be on people's platform that are not my race. And these are two dynamic women, they're Caucasian, and I love all races, like I want to understand cultures, and like I am that girl here. And so I always wanted to break that mold, but I was like, only God could do that for me, because I don't even know what I'm doing, to be honest. And so, when he did it, I was like, oh man, like this is so great that I'm able to be kind of reoccurring in these particular platforms, because they brought me behind the scenes, even in their groups and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so out of my comfort zone. But it was necessary, because it's like when you really ask God for something greater, it has to be something that just exceeds your comprehension and your competence and your contributions almost. It's like there's nothing you could have done to even get the glory out of that or take credit for that. That was absolutely a God connect, And so I've been able to, even talk to my clients even the more, like you on this platform, and hear more depth to the story. And I'm like, I didn't know all this. Why didn't I know all this? So it is definitely a beautiful journey. So I definitely get it when it's, when you just got to obey God. Like, you just never know what happens, and it's not about me. It's about trying to, and I'm here for the underdogs too. I'm like, let's just band together and make some noise at this point, So that's pretty much where I'm at.
Oh, here I am.
There you go. So Diane, tell us, what are your offerings? What do you offer in the J. Diane brand? And then how can the audience connect with you?
All right. So first, I have I have the t-shirts here. The slogan t-shirts are "Embracing the Struggle for It's Only Temporary." I have those available. I have coffee mugs. If you don't drink coffee, tea. And then I also have keychains that have LED lights on them. All of them have my logo, customized logo on there, thanks to Kiana. And then I also have the book as well. You can purchase this off of Amazon, but my shirts and things like that you can purchase at www.jdianeparkerllc.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, J.Diane Parker.
Let me find out you're on TikTok. Ooh, y'all make sure y'all connect with her if you're viewing this on YouTube. It's at the bottom of the screen and it's in the description if you're tuning in on the podcast app. Her information will be in the description. So listen, thank you again, Diane, for gracing us with your presence. It's an honor to have you on my podcast, to peek into your life and to hear what God is doing in the marketplace with you. But before we go, Diane, what is one thing that you would want to say to encourage and empower all of the emerging and existing Kingdom women entrepreneurs who are tuning in?
Never give up, stay prayed up, and keep looking for the blessings that are coming from up. Okay?
Ooh, the bars. Come on. All right, y'all. That is the word, and that's the wrap for the Her Brand exclusive of the Be Her podcast. Thanks for tuning in.